Crack on the track.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Free Game with Crack podcast. On today's episode, I have a very motivated, funny motherfucker. His name is JaMarr Johnson. We talked about his come up as a motivational speaker, how we got involved with doing stand-up comedy. He was a valedictorian. He's done a TED Talk before, which is a hell of a thing to have on your resume. Recently lost 50 pounds. We talked a little bit about health and weight loss. Things like that. Another dope podcast. Welcome to the Free Game with Crack podcast. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Free Game with Crack podcast. Today I have JaMarr Johnson. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, Crack. Thanks for having me, brother.
How's things out in the great state of California?
Man, California is fantastic. I'm here in Los Angeles, and we still locked down. It's still pandemic season, but I'm still putting in that work, man.
Now, has your day-to-day life changed much during this?
Honestly, bro, my day-to-day has not really changed much because I've been working from the compound for a minute now. I pretty much start every day the same. I go out for a 12 to 15 mile hike from my area in the Miracle Mile zone, kind of like Beverly Hills adjacent, and I cut up and I walk through the Hollywood Hills and go to Runyon Canyon, which is closed, but I found some side streets. So I go through Runyon Canyon, and then I come back, and then it's like the day starts around 8 a.m. So I get up around 4:35 every day, rain, sleet, snow, shine. Like today it was raining, I went out and I actually ran the whole 12 miles. So my routine is still the same, and then I come back, and it's just an assortment of things that I do from the compound for my clients, marketing, and then also just exploring music and just connecting with people on every social media possible.
Now, I want your words to describe to people all the different things that you do. I see the Entrepremedian. Say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man, Entrepremedian, man. It's an entrepreneur who happens to be extremely funny, man. So I literally been in the comedy game for the last 16 years. And then entrepreneurship, honestly, I've been hustling since I was 12. So I was always figuring out ways to make money because my mother really didn't have it. And I was like, if I want these nice kicks, I got to figure out a way to get it because she ain't going to be able to get it. But I also realized that, there's a way to go about it where you kind of endanger yourself, and there's a way to go about it where, you could be on the up and up, but still come up, right? So when I was 16, I had an airbrush business, doing basically graffiti on shirts instead of doing it on the walls. People was doing it on the walls and getting caught up. I was doing it on shirts and making, $25 a pop. With no overhead on supplies because I was using the community center stuff. They was trying to keep the kids off the street. So I was always hustling. And then, growing up in New York City where I'm from, having a sense of humor just keeps you from having to fight people, right? It's like your chops could just keep you, people shooting the dozens and stuff. And it's like, I just learned a quick wit. But I didn't know that could be a business, right? I saw Def Comedy Jam and all that stuff, but I was like, I didn't know that could be a business. And then when I was 18, I had the opportunity to do some public speaking, and I blew some people away at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City in front of 2,000 people. So at that point, I knew I had a gift to gab, right? But in terms of music, I kept it, to myself because there was a lot of good spitters on the block, and I wasn't trying to get flamed out there. So I just kept it to myself, and then it wasn't until years later when I saw the cast of the Dave Chappelle Show performing live for the first time that I was like, yo, there's something about bringing people together, making them feel good, making them laugh. But I did the math in the room, and I was like, this is one of 9 sold-out shows. These dudes just did $1.5 million in 9 shows in Boston at the end of season 1 of the Chappelle Show. So I did the math, and I was like, yo, this is a business. So I just started learning the business of, stand-up comedy, public speaking, and then, any business is about marketing. So if you can get your brand out there, you can sell more whatever you're selling, services, products, etc. And so I started to put 2 and 2 together, and then over time I just started consulting people as well as doing the actual thing at the Comedy Store, Caroline's in New York. I've toured all over the country, did some shows in Canada. So, Entrepremedian is you're not just an artist, you're not just a comedian, you're a businessman first.
Yeah, much more than that. So being a comedian, that was the step 1 for you?
Well, I would say I was always an artist, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember, so I was saying I drew, I airbrushed, I was always an artist. So for me, it was being a comedian was the way I felt like I could shine the most between all my gifts as an artist. right?
How old were you when you first started doing that?
When I first started doing it, I was 25, man. I'm 40 now, so I'll be 41 this year. So I'm going on my 16th year. So I was 25, but I had started public speaking at 18. So I had already spoken in front of like 2,000 people and shut it down. And so I knew I had a gift. But then, about like 7 years later is when I actually was like, oh, this is how I could take that gift and put it into something that can make me money.
Like, what led to you starting to public speak at 18? Like, what were you thinking at 17 or like your senior year of high school?
Yeah. So what actually happened, man, because I got caught up in the streets when I was younger, I actually got left back twice. Like junior high, I got left back for just cutting class. I would just go to FAO Schwartz and just explore the city. I was just, just trying to keep my mind from being depressed on my home situation because my mom was actually messed up on crack for a minute, right? So then when she got clean, I was like, yo, I was still kind of rebelling as a teen, and I was just, I was trying to avoid drama at school. People trying to fuck with you at school. People trying to, throw shade on you whenever they could. And I didn't really belong to any cliques. So for me, it was like, yo, I got to just keep it moving. So when I got to high school, I kind of had those same bad habits. And even though I got into one of those advanced high schools in New York, I tested in. I just couldn't really feel like I belonged in there. I just felt like I'd rather just cut class and just avoid people and things like that. So I got left back twice. So by the time I got into this specialized high school called Vanguard, what actually happened was you had to do more than just standardized testing. You had to write a portfolio paper on every single subject. 20-page minimum was the requirement, and you had to present it and speak to a panel of people who judge your work and your performance. So I started public speaking in school as a part of the curriculum that was kind of like, we think this is going to prepare people better for the next level than what they've been doing in other schools. So that was kind of how it started off. So one of the things that I did, like when I was in junior high, when I was cutting class, one of my art teachers caught me, and he just invited me to come back to his lab, and he knew how to make Jim Henson style puppets. So he taught me how to make puppets when I was in junior high, and that was like one of the things I did to just stay off the street. So when I got into high school, I did a senior portfolio project where I made these two different puppets. I made them black, and one was black, one was Dominican, and my boy Freddie, he played the other puppet, and we did a puppet show, and I got a 4.0 on that, and talked about the history of puppetry, talked about Sesame Street, the significance and the culture, all of that stuff. So I was used to explaining what I did in front of people, in front of my own camera too, because I would always record it too. I actually got some old footage of that shit too. And then what happened from there was one of the internships that I had, they invited a bunch of select students up to Boston to check out their main facility, and little did we know they were trying to think who they were going to have come speak at their annual gala. So in 1997, when I turned 18, that was my senior year. So I turned 18 in 1987 because I was a year behind because I had got left back once, but I also got skipped once. Right?
Okay. So
as a senior, it was October 14th. I'll never forget it because it was my 18th birthday. I was literally in a double-breasted, pinstripe, blue suit, tied up and everything, and I spoke in front of 2,000 people, and that's when I knew that public speaking was like a thing I could do that could propel me forward in life.
Were you ever shy? Like, you're obviously not introverted at all, right?
You know what's funny you say that, Crack? It's funny you say that, but I honestly, the way I determine what makes a person introverted and extroverted is not what you see when the camera's on and when they gotta perform. It's how do they recharge themselves, right? And I spend a very large amount of my time alone.
Same.
That's how I like it. Taking in information, thinking things through, processing, looking at life like chess, not checkers, being philosophical about life. And I get exhausted when I'm just around people nonstop. Now, I like being around people, but I like being around myself a whole hell of a lot more. So I've learned to be extroverted for effect and for progress and for business, but I'm actually an introverted person. And like I said, I spend most of my time recharging alone.
That's crazy to hear. I'm the exact same way. I was always super shy. I think on Thursday I'm gonna post like a throwback video of me. It's me and this dude. He came to my studio, and it was when my name first was starting to get out around town, and he had heard my beats, and he came to the studio to do like an interview with me, And I remember like just being really sweaty. My face was all shiny, my hands were sweaty, and I just kept like doing this with my hands. And he pointed it out a few times to like embarrass me, but I was always quiet. But like you said, you learned how to turn it on because you realized how important it was to be extroverted on camera, to show that confidence and you know, all the pros and cons that benefits that come from it.
Yeah, and also it was just like, it was a way to protect yourself in the streets, right? If you seen Meek and Meager on the streets of New York, you know, people trying to take what's yours. So for me, it was like I learned how to flex for the purpose of just checking people. You know what I mean? I learned how to, you know what I'm saying, get loud when I need to. I learned how to like, okay, what the fuck, motherfucker, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, belt just quick, you know what I mean? It's almost like acting in a sense. But the thing is that I would really hit you with a hammer if you tested me, you know what I'm saying? Because if it's mine or your life, it's going to be yours because I ain't going out, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Now, so you're 18, you started speaking. Like, at this point in time, were you thinking about college? Did you go to college?
Yeah, man. So what happened for me was a bunch of people came running up to me after the event and was handing me business cards and stuff, right? And it was like, "Yo, come intern at our company." Because you know, with these galas, I think we raised like $2.2 million that night, right? For like 2,000 people.
Like, what was the event and what were you speaking about?
Yeah, so it was a nonprofit that still exists called Facing History and Ourselves. That's the name of the nonprofit, right? And what they did was they took the curriculum of Nazi Germany, they took that into the high schools to teach kids how to learn how to question authority. Like, don't just follow what people say, like find ways to have reasonable discourse and questions about what happens so that we can prevent what happened in Nazi Germany. You feel me? So
okay.
That was right up my alley because I was already a renegade, but I always was like one of those people who always asking why. Why this? Why that? Why? You know what I'm saying? I was always asking why. So with that being the case, the gala was like, I had a 5-minute speech, which I'll send you the clip so you can take a look at it, where I was basically just sharing what my experience was. And I was also sharing, without being too graphic, like, you know, I realized that I could have got caught up in the street because I was doing street things. And then I started noticing that, like, I was doing it out of, like, defense of people and defense of your block and things like that. And then once I started noticing some people, they was just being extra for no reason. Like, they was just harassing people. They was stealing and robbing people for no reason, even when they had money. I was like, yo, this don't make sense to me. I got to question this behavior. And then when I was 15, I spent one night in jail for breaking up a fight that one of my boys had with a homeless dude of all people. And he got away and 3 of us got arrested. And I was like, that's it, yo. I'm not going down for somebody else's bullshit. And I ended up changing up my course of direction in life. He ended up going to juvenile detention and then also prison as an adult. So I made the right move, but I had to learn that you gotta make your own decisions. So by the time I was 18, I understood that lesson and choosing your own path very well. Like, it was very real for me. It wasn't just like you know, something you learn in school. Here's why. Nah, I was like, nah, I know firsthand. If I didn't change my course of action, I would have been locked up.
Right. So then you start doing speeches. You said that people were giving you business cards and stuff. So like, what happened right after that?
Yeah, so people was giving me business cards and like, come intern with us. But in my mind, I was like, I want to go to college. And so I was like, but I also want to get up out this city. So I was like, I'm gonna join the military, earn money for college, but at the same time be able to bounce immediately after school because I was ready to be my own man. You know, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, I love you, Ma, but I'm in this house. Me and my brother, we share a room. I got 2 other siblings. They get on my nerves. It's like, I'm ready to go. So in my mind, I was like, how do I get out of here as fast as possible? All right, join the military. That gives me bread, get the GI Bill, do some other things. But what actually happened was, when I was sitting in the recruiter's office, he was trying to run his game, and luckily I was smart enough that I would just ask questions. And I was like, "Yo, what's that book over there that says ROTC? What's that officer package?" He was like, "Oh, that's for people who go to college. You can become an officer." I was like, "Yo, but I plan on going to college." He's like, "Yeah, but you know, you got to apply for it. Normally, you got to do it as a junior. You're already a senior." I was like, "That's cool. Listen, I'll enlist if you help me fill that package out and see if I can get that." So he's like, "All right, deal." So we made an agreement. He helped me jump through all the hoops. I applied, And so basically I was going to enlist anyway and then wait to find out the results. So I went on faith. I enlisted. A year and a half later, I got the call up that I got the scholarship, 4-year academic scholarship to go to college, and I ended up going to college.
Damn, what was your GPA to get that?
Well, I graduated from high school actually valedictorian, man. I actually, actually pulled it out, like, getting left back. The thing is, it's like, because I skipped class, that I didn't have grades to count against me. It was like absent, you know what I mean? So when I got into the new high school, they kind of gave me like a clean slate, and I could just redefine myself. So from that point forward, I started to develop a love for school, and I basically crushed it. I killed it and ended up, becoming valedictorian. I actually think I also talked my way into valedictorian too. Like, I think it might have been like almost like a tie between me and one other girl, but I just like, they wanted me speaking at graduation, put it like that. So I saw firsthand the power of being able to speak and being able to present well. You're a spokesperson, so people want to hire that.
What were you more nervous to speak at, your high school graduation or at that event that you spoke at?
That event that I spoke at, it was 2,000 people, but I was prepared because they gave us a speech coach, and it was 2 other students and myself, and I went third. I was the headliner. So, they knew that my speech, because we got to write our own speeches. They was like, yo, this kid, he got the gift of gab. His talk is powerful. He probably comes from the most disadvantaged of the 3. Like the white girl that was with us, actually she wasn't really white. She was half Jewish, half Palestinian. She was very eloquent and sharp, but also comes from privilege. So it's like her viewpoints are like not going to be that shocking. The other girl, she was black. Her name was India. She came from probably a little bit better off, 2-parent household. In my household, it was just straight up chaos. It was like, let's have him go last because his story is gonna hit a little bit harder. Plus, he's gonna be the deliverer. So I went third. So I wasn't really nervous. I was more excitement. I learned early on from the speech coach, because I played sports. I played basketball, right? And I was also voted my senior year most valuable player by my teammates. So I was cool and calm under pressure. And it was like, I knew if I prepared, I could do anything. You know what I'm saying? So when I was up there speaking, the lights were so bright, I couldn't see anybody. And that was nerve-wracking because I normally would be able to at least connect and make eye contact, but I was looking out into the darkness. And so there was a moment in my speech, I'll let you figure out when that moment was, where I almost forgot everything. Like, it just my mind blacked out. But I just kept breathing. And then it just all came rushed back because I wasn't really afraid. I just was like, okay, I'm ready for this. I prepared for this. So this is my moment. It was like that 8 Mile moment before it happened. I was like, I'm ready for this.
Okay. So then what age were you when you got out of because you went to the Navy? So I
went to the Marine Corps first.
Okay.
Then my scholarship kicked in. Then I went to college as a reservist, right? And then halfway through college, I switched my option from Marine Corps to Navy. So when I became an officer, it was a naval officer instead of a Marine officer. Because at the time, Marine Corps was a subset of the Navy. So it was underneath the Navy branch of service.
Bet.
So I switched options, came up, and like I said, I read the fine print. I was like, yo, do I really want to be a Marine or I want to be a Navy? Because the Navy, I saw them really traveling the world for real. And then also I saw them having a bigger emphasis on education. And I was like, I also want to get my master's one day, you know what I mean? So I ended up switching options, and then I ended up doing that for the next, add another, 10, 11 years on that. So all in all, I did 14 years in the military. And then when I was 25, I was already an officer, but I started doing stand-up on the side, moonlighting, because that was gonna be my business flow that I could start building up, because everything I read said it takes 10 years before you find your voice as a comedian. So I was like, I'm not gonna wait till I get out of the military to start it. I'm gonna do it right now, so that I can start developing the chops and then be ready for it when I get out.
What did you do to start? Because, we all have those friends that are funny growing up, and you're always like, yo, you should do stand-up. You should do stand-up. And I had a few different friends who I was like literally trying to help, but it was like they just didn't want it. Or they were too scared, or I would tell them like, man, go do open mic or something like that. Was your first stand-up like an open mic type of thing?
Nah, my first stand-up was a straight-up live show in front of 175 people. Because I didn't know any better. I didn't, there wasn't open mics where I was, you know what I mean? Like, I just had to go to the club and be like, I went there in my uniform. I used my leverage. I went in my uniform, so he knew, I was a respectable person, a man of his word, and also that, hey, I can get people to come see me. Because ultimately, everything comes down to butts and seats, right? Asses and seats. Can you put money into the pocket of the venue you're performing at? If yes, you could be shitty and they're going to let you go. So he didn't know if I could do it, but he knew that I had to get the gab in front of him. So I sold myself in front of him. And I was like, yo, I could bring like 20, 30 people. I brought like 80 people my first show.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
And I got paid chicken. I got paid a chicken sandwich. Like I didn't even get no money for all of the people I brought there. But that's learning lessons, right? I should have negotiated that from the get-go. So I got to take that L. But I should have probably made, like, even if I did like a $5 a head joint, I should have made $300 my first show.
Now, how slow was the comedian grind?
You know what? It felt fast and furious for me because honestly, I had the money to invest in myself, right? I was an officer in the Navy. I was making 6 figures. So, I was able to like just move and shake and drive out of my area and go and network and just constantly. So it felt like it was moving at light speed. And because I was working so much, I was working so hard at it. To me, it's like writing jokes is the same thing as writing rhymes. You writing bars. You writing hooks. You're coming up with catchy things. You're constantly creating ideas. Everywhere you go all day long, all you could think about is how to get this line to hit. So I was focused on it because it was going to be my business. So I was about my business. And so, I moved up and connected with quite a few people very quickly because I looked at it, I took it very seriously.
Yep. So from 25 doing your first ever stand-up show, what age were you like the ultimate peak of your comedian career so far?
Well, I mean, I'm 40 now, and honestly, I'm light years better than I ever was, right? Like the confidence, the pacing. Like I understand now, God is in the silence. You know what I'm saying? And so what that means is like when I'm talking on stage, I'm not in any rush to show you that I'm funny. I already know I'm funny. You know what I mean? I'm here to deliver an idea, a message, a purpose. I'm here for a reason. Part of that is to entertain you, but part of that is to make you think. So really, like the way I describe my comedy and what I aspire to is to be a transformational comedian, right? So I'm not just here to make you funny. I'm also here to be funny. I also want to make you think about things. I want to make you leave thinking differently about certain subjects that I care about, right? So I really take my time and I just I try to show mastery up there. And the thing is too, comedy's subjective. Some people love certain types of comedians and they don't love others. But I know I've worked so many different crowds. I can work in all environments. If I'm in a really really hood show, I know how to get really really gully with it. If I'm in a nice corporate show, I know how to turn it on and give them the Wayne Brady version. I know how to go into different modes and connect with my audience where they are, and then take them to where I want them to go. So right now I'm at the pinnacle, and it's funny because when you're at the pinnacle too, sometimes like I don't work as much, but also I charge more. So you know what I mean, like it's kind of like a give and take. But for me, the next step is really to kind of build out, my brand and my own tour. Like, because I have a friend who's already done it, and he's just a storyteller. But he went out and just used Instagram ads and literally toured 300 cities around the world off of Instagram and storytelling. And I'm not gonna say, I'm a competitor. Like he'll tell you I'm the better comedian, but he understood marketing at a deeper level. So, but I can do what he's doing. So that's the next phase. But I definitely missed that first 3 years because I was like prolifically writing and just willing to try anything. Like I was just having so much fun just letting any idea run with things. And it's just like this reckless abandon to it. Whereas now I'm more refined. I know what my voice is. I know how people perceive me on stage and how sometimes I can shatter their assumptions or how to like operate in a way that's kind of like, I'm a wiser, man, even though I look, young. I'm 40.
Now, You did a TED Talk?
Yeah, I did a TED Talk.
How the hell did that happen, and when did that happen?
It's funny though. Let me tell you the power of networking, the power of connection, bro. Because I wanted to do one for a minute. As a speaker, that's one of those prominent stages you want to hit. And I've been doing events and stuff, speaking events, and I actually had somebody in our mastermind group, bro. Somebody in our mastermind group. He goes by the name of Smart Rapper, aka Rob Level. Shout out to Rob Level.
Yeah, shout out to Rob.
Yeah, so check this out. So what happened was I was trying to get him on one of my events to just speak, right, as a speaker, because he does motivational speaking too. And we couldn't really work it out. He's mad busy, trying to grow his empire. But every once in a while I would get him to come to one of my comedy shows. So he came to the Comedy Store and just saw me destroy. So he was like, yo, this dude is funny. And then what happened was somebody asked him to do a TEDx, but that wasn't really his style. Like he's not trying to be super clean and politically correct, type of stuff. So because I was top of mind, because I was in his network, because he knew that I'd be grinding and he saw my grind, he was like, yo, I got somebody for this. And he called me up and he offered it to me. So I went and spoke to them, and then of course they liked me, and then boom, I was in. So it's funny because this is literally the fourth time in this last week that somebody asked me how did I get my TED Talk. And I'm gonna tell you, like, your network is your net worth. So your network is gonna help you do all sorts of stuff that you try to do on your own and you just hit the brick wall. I have been applying to some, but they're so competitive because everybody's trying to do it now. The way I got it was by being connected to the right person at the right time, and then with the right intent. They saw me doing what I was talking about doing, and they was like, "Yo, you'd be perfect for it."
Where'd you do it at? Where is?
I did it in the Valley. There's so TEDx is licensed independent TED Talks. So they do them all around the country. If you go to like the website, you'll see a list of all the TED Talks that they plan to do all year round. And then TED is the main conference. It's like the big stage. It's very hard to get those. But they made TEDx because they still wanted to give other people a chance to get their voice out there. So a lot of people that have been on the come up lately, I don't know if you know Todd Lopez, who's big in the marketing world. I met him in Hollywood like 3 years ago doing comedy. He loves coming out to comedy shows in Hollywood all the time. But he did a TEDx, and like that helped put him on the map. And then he marketed and advertised it, and he leveraged it to create his brand. So for me, it was like a brand move. And so mine is up. So it was crazy because I recorded it, I did it. I actually got all the raw footage, but it's one of those things where there's so many TEDx's happening. You don't know how far in the queue. It's almost like I don't got the rights to it. I don't know when it's gonna drop.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to drop it on my joint because then it's like I might be violating the terms of service. But I have the footage, and I might just start putting little clips up just to kind of like start promoting it while I wait for them to drop it.
Was that nerve-wracking?
Nah.
No. So let me ask you this. Let's say tomorrow you have a speaking event or a stand-up. How, like, nerves-wise, are you excited to do it? Are you nervous to do it? Do you want to, like, what is your feelings?
Always excited. I mean, first of all, if you're always working on your ideas, then you got plenty to talk about. So every new show is an opportunity to express those new ideas and keep on current stuff. When new stuff happens that's current, you should always be writing on top of that, but also relating it to your personal journey, your personal story, so you can always make it evergreen and not just topical and seasonal, right? So It's like, if you think about it, like, it's like, you know how some rappers, like, when they make an album, they try to make it be a classic every time so that it can stand the test of time. That's my approach to storytelling and joke writing. It's like, what can I talk about that in 5 years it'll still be relevant? Because then I'm focusing more on themes and tropes, not simply the current events of today. I'm like, what does that mean deeper? And so really good comedians like that, if you look at old George Carlin, it's like his stuff is still true to this day because it was so real. It was so about human nature. So that's what I kind of tend to talk about more.
Now, out of all the different business ventures that you have going on, like, what would you say takes up the most of your time on like a week-to-week basis?
So I have clients I have clients in the marketing space that I run basically advertisements for, create creative ads, copy and stuff like that. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm either, checking on the ads I've already set up, letting them see what their lead flow is, or I'm just connecting with new people to generate new business. So that's probably what I spend most of my time doing. Probably like 3 to 4 Zoom meetings a day, 30 minutes a pop, sometimes longer if it goes great. And then for one of my clients in particular, I have a client in the energy business. Is actually a solar company that does nationwide commercial and residential solar installations. So I'm doing a lot of helping him grow his sales team and his organization, and then lead generation for the actual solar installation as well. So I probably say, I don't know if you ever heard of the book, The 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss, but I definitely set my life up to be in that way, where honestly most of my day, my time is my time, and I'm just checking up on things that I'm leveraging automation for. So I have a saying, automation is to your time what compound interest is to your money. If you learn how to use it and leverage it, you'll win big. If you don't, you'll fail.
What got you into social media?
Obviously, just doing comedy and knowing I had to have a brand, I just started to really just dig into it just for my own sake. And then when I got out of the military, I did real estate for 2 years. I noticed everything there was marketing based. From there, I went to a startup company in Silicon Valley and was doing inside sales, but was watching over the shoulders and seeing marketing happening. And then from there, I got poached and became the director of sales and marketing for a personal development company called One Taste. And they taught orgasmic meditation of all things, but essentially generating like 300 leads a day from all over the world to sell coaching programs and training packages. So doing all of that over the laptop and phone, I was able to have that laptop lifestyle back in 2014. And so at that point, I was like, I know too much now. I got to do this for myself.
What was like step one of starting a marketing agency? Did you do it by yourself at all in the very beginning before you started to bring other people on to help?
Nah, what I ended up doing was, I was in that intrapreneur phase. So I was working for somebody, but I had so much freedom and flexibility that I could also go start acquiring my own clients on the side. So that's what I started doing. And then of course, depending on how you structure your agency and what your agency does, I heavily use automation. So when I'm running, I got ads running right now, I don't have to be sitting there watching what they do. I could just check when the result comes in. Oh, you got a lead. Oh, and then if it's automation set up, I can have that lead go through a process that follows up and it gets them to schedule an appointment. So all of that time that I would normally have to pay somebody to do to move a deal through a flow cycle, automation does all of that now. So what was maybe needed at a team of 5 or 10 8 years ago, one person can pretty much do all of that and manage the systems. But I also do outsource some of the things that I need to other agencies that specialize in certain things, and then I have certain kind of performance contracts with them. So the better they perform, the more they make, and things like that. And so it just makes me, more. I can spend my time on the thing that makes me the most money, which is go getting a new client and just replicating the automation I'm doing for every other client.
Yeah, I'm in a stage right now where I'm trying to delegate as much shit as I can to other people.
Yeah.
Even
absolutely.
I'm trying to find a way to make it easier for social media, all the micro content, say a clip from this podcast. I want a headline at the top, a little time bar going across, and the subtitles. I'm trying to find the fastest, cheapest, easiest way to get that done.
Yeah, those. I mean, there's companies out there that do it, but you got to look at it how many pieces of content you're trying to get done. Because it's the more pieces of content you get done with that, the more affordable it gets. But if you're not at that threshold where, if you're looking to pay somebody $3,000 a month,
no.
I know people that can do it, but you would need to have enough work for them to make it make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they could just take everything you're doing and just constantly just package it and just, create that effect where you got that omnipresence effect. But honestly, it depends on just how much, what's the return on investment of what's coming in. But it's honestly, for what that sounds like, what I would say is you want some really highly talented, Filipino or Pakistani type workers who can work for $3-4 an hour, but they can do the work. They can do the graphics and all of that stuff in their country, where that $5 goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna have to have that be outsourced out of the country to be able to do it at a scale that where it makes sense financially.
How important would you say your physical location is with networking? Like you live in Los Angeles, California, so you're in like the networking capital of the world.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I think that's becoming less and less true about just where you are. Don't get me wrong, proximity does have some privileges, but if you think about how you and I even connected, right? We connected virtually, but
Through the internet.
And but the way I got connected to Game, BusyWorksBeats.com, shout out to BusyWorksBeats, is because of his YouTube channel, and me being a very kind of like off and on producer, I was plugged into him and sticking around for the knowledge on life and business more than I was just how to make some beats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that led to me connecting, and I was actually at his first live event. He actually has footage of me giving a testimonial at his first live event. So what I do best is I connect digitally, but then I also connect in the real realm with people that I meet digitally, and then really solidify those relationships. So that's why I call myself a super connector, and I actually wrote a book about it that's coming out pretty soon. Super Connecting: The Art and Science of Creating Meaningful Relationships in a Digital Age. So that's the book that's going to be dropping. It's 23 chapters of fire. It's like really like how to network at a high level and how to be a go-giver about it, so that people don't just look at you as somebody just coming to take. You coming to give, coming to elevate. You're coming to really chop it up and break bread with people. So the fact that I'm in LA is cool because a lot of people come through here. It's like such a hub. But you can also go online and like last week, man, I commented on some certain things and did some really slick engagement on LinkedIn, and literally, I added like 346 new connections and had like 1,800 new people look at my profile in 4 days. So literally, I figured out how to go viral off of reacting and commenting to someone else's post that went viral. So it was crazy. So with all of those connections, I already got like 4 or 5 meetings every single week for the next few weeks because of all the people I met and then reached out to, and then just used my methodology of like sending them voice notes, sending them videos and things like that to really make the relationship feel different from everything else they get, because most people, they use automation to a certain level that it makes it feel inauthentic when they're trying to connect with you, and certain things are not scalable.
Yep. That's kind of, I started doing like the one-on-one coaching calls about 2 months ago, and then I was thinking of all these, the whole click funnel stuff going on right now as far as automating your income through selling beats and stuff, and it was just like, there's no way to automate this whole coaching call, because it's like I just started putting out all these tutorials to show people that I'm knowledgeable in a lot of these areas, like things that I do for a living. So put out the tutorials, as bait to lure people in that are looking to learn these things. They see you as the authoritative figure, and then the fact that you offer a one-on-one phone call thing, it's like, holy shit, I watch this guy's video, learn a bunch of stuff all the time. I have so many other questions. I can actually call you. But like you said, scalability, we can't add hours in our day, so there is only so many hours in a day. So you can't get to the point where you're doing 500 calls a day. Like, no, there's only so much time.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. So what happens is you group the coaching up and things like that, and you do things about kind of stack it. But then ultimately, you got to just start raising the price more as the demand increases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just supply and demand.
Yeah. So have you wrote other books in the past?
You know what?
Or is this going to be your first book?
This is my first official release. I've probably written like 3 other books, but I kind of kept them as secrets to myself. And I might still release them. And I come up with book ideas all the time. But what happened for me was, I call myself a reluctant writer, and I think every writer essentially is to some degree, because it's like, man, is it ever finished? Is it ever finished? But for me, I speak, clear and fast. My thoughts are very much connected to my voice when I'm speaking. Like I can go give a 45-minute speech without much preparation and organize it as I'm speaking and deliver it. So that feels like, no limitation, no hold. I can just go. When I'm writing with my pen, first of all, I'm left-handed, so it's like my handwriting isn't something that I get a thrill out of even rereading and looking at, because it's not the neatest, And so because I'm always having to try to not smudge things, left-handed people, we just tend to not write as good as right-handed people because it was designed for right-handed, So, and then it just comes out slower. Like I'm trying to write and it's like my thoughts are trying to rush out and I can't move the pen fast enough. So for me, I started to, I figured out a hack using automation and using transcription service software.
Smart.
To yeah. So that's how I'm writing every book from now on. And so when I wrote my book, I wrote it in 10 days. I wrote it in 10 days, 2 chapters a day for 10 days. And then I think so what's that? 2 times 10, what's that, 20? And then I actually ended up doing a couple extra chapters. So right now, as it is, it's 23 chapters. And then that might be 300 pages or so. And then I'm gonna have this editor kind of tighten it up and whittle it down, but also keep my authentic voice, because that was the thing too. Like I read books sometimes and then it's like, that's not how I would speak.
Yeah.
I want the book to sound like how I would speak, because I want people to hear my voice. And I'm of course I'm gonna I got the audiobook already done, because that's how I made the book. So I got the audiobook part done, and now I'm just getting the written part transcribed.
How did you pick a winner? Because you know how you said you have new book ideas all the time. That's kind of me.
Yeah.
So when I'm 31, when I turned 30, I said, this is the year I'm writing a book, and I've always wanted to write a book, and it's that good feeling. So I'm not a motivational speaker, but I'm definitely a motivated person. And when I talk to people, it's all about positivity, and the phone calls where you get off the phone and you're like, yo, I feel good. I'm fired up right now. And it just kind of turned to where I was like, man, instead of doing, just 5-6 minute YouTube videos here and there and going live and talking and ranting and stuff, if I put it in a targeted direction, a focused way or message to do it, I wanted to put that motivation into a book. I just didn't know exactly. I was talking to my dad about it, and he was like, who are you talking to, or what? And I was just picturing other up and coming me's out there, the younger me's out there.
That's exactly right. Yep.
But
actually, I'll simplify it even more. Write the book to connect with one person.
Okay.
The young version of you. What are the things you wish you would have known when you first started? If you write the book with that in mind, it is bound to have impact to more people. Because although we have different birth dates and zodiac signs and all sorts of stuff that we try to differentiate ourselves with, the reality is that we're all 99.99% the same genetically. There's only a 0.01% difference. And that's what makes us uniquely special and original. But 99.9% of us are all the same, which means we're all going to have human emotions, human thoughts, similar storylines that will enable us to see ourselves in others and vice versa.
What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Libra.
Libra. How true is the Libra characteristics to you?
I mean, I go through it a lot because I date a lot, and so girls always want to know, what's your zodiac sign? Are we compatible, baby? No, but so I feel like it's pretty accurate. I think there's probably a couple things I'm like, I don't know, but also I know that I've evolved and I've grown, and I've strengthened a lot of areas in which I was weak in the past as well. So I feel like it's it's pretty accurate for me, but with a couple of little things. But I also can see also similarities that I have with other signs too. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I feel like we all are capable of being a full human on the spectrum, and having some aspects of us that are positive, some aspects of us that are negative, and it's just about the choices we make and how quick we can wake ourselves out of trances when we just go on autopilot. Because I think human beings are very programmable. You know, I feel like we're supercomputers in the flesh, but we're also spiritual creatures. And our spiritual side, if we suppress it and keep it kind of locked down, our human side can just go on autopilot and just go with what's being programmed, like Neo in the Matrix, until you wake up and pay attention to everything you're doing and the role that everything you're doing has in everything you're doing. You know, I feel like that's our main goal, is to kind of become fully conscious while we're here on this earth, and then realize there's no limitations. Like everything you see around you, every physical thing you see came from someone's mind first before it existed. So we're the ultimate creators.
You recently lost like 40, 50 pounds, right?
50 pounds, man. Yeah, 50 pounds.
50 pounds. Congratulations to that. What was your like step one to dropping the weight?
Yeah, man. I'm actually gonna write a little mini guide to that whole process. This is gonna be this little sneak peek of the process. Step one was setting the goal and defining the why. You know, my why was to be the best version of myself, so that I could be successful in my, career of choice, as well as, be around to really kick it with my daughter. I got a 9-year-old daughter. And I remember like at times I would be trying to play with her and just be exhausted and be tired and just like not the energetic person that I know I can be. So it really was like, health is the foundation of wealth, right? So if you ain't got that, you ain't got nothing, because your money ain't gonna keep you alive forever. You know what I'm saying? It might prolong things, but do you want to be just alive and sick and then die, or do you want to live? You want to live balls out to the walls out, and literally when it's your time to go, it's just lights out because you just lived it to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? But you were healthy the whole time. That's how I want to go out. So I had my goal, I had my why. It was strong enough, and then I was like, okay, I learned from watching some TED Talks, it's basically a calories in, calories out thing. Like, okay, you got to eat less, move more. But if I try to go run, I was weighing 246 pounds. If I try to go run at this weight, I'm going to end up being hurt and sore, and I'm not going to be able to be consistent about it. So what I did was I used this gamification concept that I read in a book. And just, it talks about how to like track what gets measured, gets mastered, how to track what you do, make it fun, and have some ways of like rewarding yourself along the way. So I started walking. First it was 3 miles a day, then it was 5 miles a day, then it was 7, then it was 8, then it was 10, and then I just kept adding to what I did, and just walking every single day. So I did that for like 165 days straight, and I ate less. So I did intermittent fasting. So I only ate 1, maybe 2 meals a day, which cut down how much caloric intake I could have. I used the app for that called Zero, and it's like an intermittent fasting app, and it just helps you learn about fasting and all the major benefits. I watched probably 10 different documentaries on fasting and all of the benefits. I read and perused through a bunch of different books to like keep myself motivated. But the biggest thing I did that I stayed consistent on was that every day I just woke up 4 o'clock, like 5:30, sometimes 4:30. Actually, I did like my first 30 days, I woke up at 4:44 intentionally every day, just because I wanted to make a new habit. And if you know much about numerology, 444 is actually the numerological sign for protect your thoughts and protect your mindset, and only think about the things you want and not the things you don't want when you see the number 444. So for like the first 30 days, I just woke up at 444 so that I could have that, waking up, protect my mindset, go after my dreams, go after my goals, you know what I mean, plan. And that was what I did, man. So walking every day, intermittent fasting every day, just learning more about nutrition and health and wellness just on a daily basis, trying to learn just a little bit more. And then that just helped me make better choices and, cut out the soda, cut out the excess sugar, and little things that throughout the day. Like I don't do the snacking all day long. You know what I'm saying? I eat when it's time to eat, and then in between that, I drink things that are extremely low in calories to no calories, like water, lemon water, apple cider vinegar and water, um, seltzer water, different flavors and stuff. It's like no calories in it because I don't want to spike. I don't want to spike insulin because insulin is the savior of humankind and it allows you to store fat unlimited. So if you want to lose weight, you got to keep insulin levels low because when insulin is low, your body's ability to burn fat for energy is high. And once insulin turns on, fat burning stops. So how do I keep myself in a low insulin state as long as possible was the goal. And then if you're in a low insulin state, if you're walking, doing something they call it LISS, low intensity steady state. If you're walking for a long time, your body doesn't have enough sugar to use. So what it does is to say, oh, after 30 minutes, we're gonna be doing this for a while. All right, switch modes, you go to hybrid mode, you switch from sugar to fat burning mode, and that's how you start burning fat on a regular basis.
So what are some things that you're working on right now that's going to be coming out in the near future? I know you already mentioned the book.
Yeah, so let's see. Besides the book, let's see here. The biggest thing that I'm working on right now is it's a project that what I'm trying to do is integrate music, edutainment with solar education. And then all of that stuff is going to be run as ads to help generate new leads for both creating a bigger sales force as well as clients for solar. So one of the things I'm trying to do is like, I'm kind of working on some music right now. I'm writing some bars, some educational bars, and just looking to like leverage that. There's a really dope digital marketing agency out of Utah called the Harmon Brothers, and they charge like $500,000 for a retainer. So, I want to enter that space. There's a lot of people who don't have 500 grand. They may got 50 grand. And so if I can go grab, 10, 50 grand clients, create some dope, fun digital advertising for them, that'll be a good look. And it'll help me continue to build my brand and my name. Because, I definitely want to be known. I kind of decided like, being a touring artist, I would only tour on my own terms. And I'm not gonna go through like the club scene and all of that stuff. I'd rather do it on my own terms. So I'm focused more on business and being known for being successful in business, and then I can tour how I want to tour and really focus on those upper echelon money moves with the knowledge that I know, and then just do my comedy in and around that. For me, business is like the ultimate game that I enjoy playing. So that's what I'm gonna kind of focus on. And then in that space, there's going to be no speakers who got the chops like I got the chops. You know what I'm saying? I can actually spit, I can actually rhyme, I can actually flow, and I actually got really funny stories and things like that. So in that world, I'm coming for like the Gary V's. I'm coming for him. I'm coming for there's a guy named Billy Jean. I'm coming for him.
Billy Jean is marketing.
I performed at his office last year, and I was trying to partner up with him, but he was on some next shit. But it's cool. It's like, all right. When I pass certain people up, they're gonna be like, yo, I remember him. He was just like a dude in the room. Like, yep, I wanted to work with you. But you know what I'm saying? At some point, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially in hip hop, like your idols become your rivals. That's what I'm looking for. So that's my next move.
What was the most important thing that got you where you are today?
The most important thing, just nonstop drive, man. My drive is internal. It's not external. It doesn't require other people to acknowledge it. It's just things that I want to do for my own sake and sanity. So I don't know where it comes from. I just feel like it's a gift. It's a gift from the universe. A gift from God. And I'm glad that I got this thing, man. Like, it's funny you talk about, like, I wake up every day between 4 and 5 a.m. with no alarm clock. That's drive right there. You know what I'm saying? I just wake up, like, boom, it's time to get it. It's time to get it. And, and I usually get out the house by like 5, sometimes 5:30 to get my 12-mile walk in every day. But, I just wake up and get it because I know I got it and I got it to give. And so I'm like, why not give it away now? You know what I'm saying?
You record a lot of videos while you're walking. I feel like whenever I'm walking or anytime I'm exercising, you know, like scientifically, it makes you happy by releasing those endorphins in your brain. So like
Yep.
you're probably full of thoughts
Oh,
while
yeah.
you go on those walks every morning.
Yeah, so when you're walking, there's something, especially when you're in a fasted state, there's something that happens called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors. And so as that happens, you start to enter flow states. And so a lot of times I actually come up with my best ideas in the morning when I'm walking, and I record them and, you know, note them down, you know, put them in my phone and stuff like that. And I used to do a lot more videos. I used to have a series called Walk and Talk. I feel like I got about 40 episodes where I would take 3 topics, and I would actually just go Facebook Live, record the topics and talk about the topics, and those got a pretty good response. And it's funny because people would be like, "Yo, what happens to your walking talks and stuff like that?" And I'm like, I need to get back to it, but a lot of times my walks right now, they be so early in the morning, it still be dark out. So you know what I'm saying? Like by the time I'm on the way back, I'm on like the come down of like, okay, I just got to get to this 12th mile, and I don't necessarily feel like going into deep thought. That usually happens kind of more on the uphill because I go up this long hill, but I definitely want to bring it back in terms of like, because I go for secondary walks throughout the day too. Like I say, just around like noon and just to get some sun and stuff. Just, you know, do a quick 5 minute. It's nothing for me to talk for 5 minutes anyway. You know what I mean? So yeah. Walking and talking, I have a whole series of videos that I you know have done, and we'll continue to do at some point.
Oh man, well hey, JaMarr, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you.
Hey, Cracka, it was a pleasure, man. This is great. This was great. I feel like you asked some cool questions, and I've been doing a lot more podcasts as of late. But it's always cool to get different questions and to see like where the interviewer wants to take it. So I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure. And I would love to have you on mine too, because I would love to ask you some questions about your journey as an artist. So please come be a guest on Verbal Brainstorm sometime.
Boom, there we go. All right, everyone. See you guys in the next episode.
Oh, at JaMarr J on Twitter and Instagram.
That my bad. Yo, shout out more than that. I'm leaving all this in there too. Yo, shout out cool. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and anything you want to shout out right now.
Yeah, so you know, you can find me on the socials. The best place to find me is Instagram because I'm always there. I'm always in the DMs, you know, chopping it up. I got some dope musicians, classical trained pianists with over 50 million streams on Spotify that's going to be joining the mastermind. I'm in talks with him right now on Instagram. That's at JaMarr J, JaMarr, JaMarr J. And that's the same for Twitter, same for Instagram. And then on Facebook, I am JaMarr the Go-Giver. And then you can find my personal page. I got a couple of Facebook pages because I got so many people that be adding me, and then I got a couple business pages. But JaMarr the Go-Giver is the best way to find me and stay up. If not Instagram, because it's like direct access. So those are the main platforms. And then also too, man, like, you know, I'm here. I love to mentor and guide people and kind of give them direction. So if anybody out there is like looking for, you know, ways to make some significant bread at home, you know, working from the comfort of your home, working from a computer, from a laptop, from a phone, holla at me, especially on the solar tip. And you can actually text me directly. This is my direct line. It's the one I'm gonna give you is 213-318-4919. And that's gonna hit me right on my super phone, and we can start up a dialogue, and I can send you some more info. But to me, it's like, do everything you can do to be free so you can work on your art and make as much money as possible in the process so you can fund your dreams. Don't expect nobody to invest in you. You gotta invest in you. And the best way to invest in you is to skill up. So whether that be learning how to make music properly, whether that be learning how to sell, how to market, those 3 skills as a producer, ain't no stopping you, because that's the whole business right there.
There you go. That's now we have a proper outro.
Yes, sir.
All right, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you. Peace out. Later.